This is session 4 of your traffic and SEO training. In this session, you're going to learn about press release marketing and also WordPress SEO so you can have a fully optimized WordPress blog.
So the first thing I'm going to touch on is online publicity benefits. So basically, publicity, it's an inexpensive way to promote your website and build your credibility. And that's one of the important factors that I love so much about press releases. It actually really builds up your business's credibility because a lot of people look at press releases as kind of an authoritative thing because they think that big businesses, are in the news, that kind of thing. It enables you when you're doing this kind of online PR to actually set yourself up as an authority type website, and gives you an authority, helps you build backlinks, which we'll touch on here in a bit. But press releases serve a lot of different purposes for you, and it's one of these, I guess you could consider it almost an offline marketing technique, but we're actually going to be focusing on online. But using some of these strategies I'm sharing you with press releases, I've actually been featured in newspapers a couple different times, in newspapers and radio shows for just a standard affiliate website, believe it or not, because of the way you can spin the press release to your media, and you can get some great traffic that way through newspapers. Press releases can really increase your sales, give your website more exposure, and help your website get traffic for many years down the road, and it will really enhance the image of your business. Just like I was saying, a lot of big businesses use press releases, and so, you're on these high authority sites, you're on sites, even like Google News and sites like that. Your business can appear on those by utilizing these strategies. And one thing, I mentioned your site can get traffic for years down the road. A lot of these sites that I'm going to talk about submitting your press release to, they will stay out there for, 5, 6 years. I've got press releases I submitted for some of my very first clients when I was first doing work for people 6, 7 years ago that are still starting to show up, that are still on the internet for their business name, that are still actually driving traffic to their website. And, that's over, we're going on 6+ years now there. And that's just for work you did one time. So just like all the other things I teach here, it's so much better than regular advertising because it's not like every month for the last 6 years that businesses had to renew their press release or something. Basically you submit it and it's going to be out there, and so it's going to help you grow exponentially because the more of these you can get out there. It's all about quantity and quality, but getting some a large amount of these press releases out here, and I'll show you how to spin things so that you can write a bunch of different press releases for one website. So the internet is where people are going for their information, so you definitely want to leverage that. And so that's why we're going to basically, all I'm focusing on here is online publicity instead of offline, because anyhow, people access their news online now anyways. And so, basically that's what you want to, that's the key component right there. So press releases and website traffic. Press releases can help build backlinks to your business, which helps with SEO. And as you guys will recall, in one of the first trainings where I talked about search engine optimization, I talked about backlinks. And basically the importance of backlinks is that they kind of act as votes for your website. And so the more votes that you get for your website, the more authority your site's going to look in the eyes of Google, because they look at that as a factor, and the better your site's going to rank overall. And so submitting press releases using the strategies I'm laying out here is going to help you build backlinks, and on top of that it's going to build exposure, build up credibility. All these things are going to be working synergistically in your favor to improve your business. And so press releases are a big component of your marketing campaign. It doesn't matter if it's just an affiliate site, if it's a site selling physical products. It doesn't matter if you're a chiropractor in Tulsa, Oklahoma, trying to get traffic to your website or to your business. It really doesn't matter what kind of website business you're running, what kind of business you're running. You can leverage press releases on the internet to really get some good traffic going. One other thing I touched on that helps really get you some website exposure on these high traffic sites, and these sites already have a captive audience. And what's interesting with some of these sites I'm going to share with you is there's actually news agencies that do browse these sites. There's actually journalists and such looking for stories that will actually appear on some of these sites and may get in touch with you, and you may end up running your site somewhere. But the main reason you're doing it is it's a great thing if some news agency picks it up, but really the key component here is you want to use these press release sites to get high rankings in the search engines from the backlinks, get more exposure, and as I'll touch on, I have a final point that I'll touch on that. Press release sites are read by bloggers and other people looking for story ideas as well. So I talked about, journalists and things like that, but also, just your average bloggers in your niche. People, wanting story ideas for their website will look at press release sites as well. So if they like what you have to offer, they might get in touch with you, and it might be another opportunity to build exposure for your business. They might even take the press release and copy and paste it on their own site, which is allowed with a lot of these sites because they're just like the article sites. So that's certainly a component there that you want to consider. The press releases themselves can even rank high in the search engines for really good niche keyword phrases. So you can actually, using the keywords in the title of your press release, and I'm going to touch on that in the following slides, you can actually see an improvement in your rankings by actually having the press release itself rank in the search engines. And so it's just one other factor you can use to kind of help get more traffic through the search engines onto your press release, which then builds up your credibility, is what the press release does, which then again encourages them to click. Kind of like we talked about with article marketing. Search engines, can pick up these article directories and pages very well. And so people go in, they read your article, they see your an authority on the subject, they like what you're talking about, they click on your resource box. I haven't even had a chance yet to talk about social book marketing, video marketing, and podcasting, but they're all the same concept as well. And those are later topics. And the same thing, applies as if they were to find your website through the search engine, if they find your press release. And so I hope you guys are starting to see how this all kind of works together for you in a good circle. So what is a press release? A press release is an announcement of an event, performance, or other newsworthy item that is issued publicly. So basically, it's a way, and I grabbed this, canned response online, just so you guys know. So basically it's an announcement of an event, performance, or other newsworthy item. That's really the best way to sum up a press release. I was trying to think of a better way to say it, and that pretty much sums it up right there. So that, hope kind of gives you an idea as to what we're talking about. So it's basically a short write-up talking about your company, website, and or services, again, talking about what you offer. It might even be something as far as talking about something within your niche. So let's say that you are in the pet supplies niche and you want to talk about, a new type of automatic pet feeder that's, that's becoming popular among pet owners. And so you want to do a press release on that. Or maybe it's maybe you're a golfer and you want to talk about a new brand of putter, that's coming into the industry. And so it gives you an excuse to write a press release to kind of, bring up a newsworthy topic. Maybe it's something that's actually going on in the news right now, and it's somewhat related to your niche, and you can write up about it. We've got a lot of talks about, poor economy, this, bad investments, blah, blah. You could come up with, my affiliate marketing business is thriving in tough economy, whatever. So you kind of get the idea. You can spin news angles as well. So some ideas, for a press release. Let's say you just redesign your website, you even redesign your logo. Believe it or not, that could warrant a press release. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go take these press releases and you want to blast them out to your local newspaper, because they could really care less, honestly, about your new logo. But the reason I'm telling you to use these kind of deals is because these press release sites will pick it up, and it's just another excuse for you to get yourself out there with the press release, to get yourself a little more exposure. So the more of these you can do, and I'm not saying just spit out a bunch of junk, but I mean literally the more of these press releases you can get out there based on your niche, it's going to help you. It's going to help build backlinks, but also that authority, get you that exposure. And that's really what it's about. It's all about exposure and getting as much content in as many places as possible, and that's really what traffic's about. It could be, that you just posted a new product review. I've done press releases where I actually was reviewing an affiliate product, and it worked quite well for me. And basically, I just basically said, name of the product review reveals interesting findings. That was like my title of my press release. So so depending on the product you're promoting, let's say it's the West program. West program review reveals incredible findings. Or Instant Form Pro reveals amazing findings. Traffic generation blueprint system review uncovers amazing secrets, something like that. And that could be used as like a, as your product review, if you're doing a press release on that and you wrote up a product review. And, basically, you just position yourself as an expert. And this is kind of a nice little subtopic here for you guys to chew on. And that's basically, leverage yourself and say that you are an expert, or your company or you yourself are an expert in reviewing digital products. People don't know. Just tell them that. That's, in the press release. That's what I put. I put Paul Counts is the owner of Count on Us LLC, which is an expert, in internet marketing and reviewing internet marketing products, And so I built up the authority in the press release. I talked a little bit about the product and why it was so great in my quote section of the press release, and I'll talk about some of these things here in a bit. And basically just talked about why why this was a great product, and then said that on my website I give a detailed review and to go check out my site, and that got me a lot of traffic. So those are some ideas you can do. Maybe you made a new blog post, and I'm not saying do this on every blog post, but maybe you spent a lot of time on a really good blog post. Maybe it was like the top 10, maybe you spent a lot of time on 50 ways to promote your website. Maybe you put a lot of effort into that, and so you launch a press release that you put out an article or a free blog about 50 ways to increase website traffic. So that might be something that I could do to get more people into my program, for example. Something you could do, maybe it's maybe you have a pet website again, so you're going to talk about 25 ways to to comb your dog's hair, whatever it is that you decide to write on. You could do a press release, so and so, whatever.com announces or launches an article, or hot article on 25 ways to groom your dog, whatever it is. You could even angle that article into a press release, basically, is where I'm getting at. And then it might be just an opinion you have, so it might be kind of what you're feeling. You kind of put out some quotes out there, so I could do something like, people are, Paul Counts says economists are crazy, that might get people some attention. And then I talk about how, people are still buying things online and people are still spending money online. I don't know what they're talking about. And I could talk in that manner, so I could kind of give an opinion about, something big in the news like I talked about, but spin it for your niche, that kind of thing. So kind of be like a kind of a rebel, but don't obviously say something stupid, but just kind of be kind of a rebel in a way if you want to, kind of stand out from the crowd, because they're going to be like, well, that's interesting, this guy says economists are crazy, why does he say that? Why does he think that? And give your opinions that way. So there's some ideas for press release topics, very basic. I mean, really, you can spin just about anything into a press release, so keep that in mind. And a press release, all it just needs is to have an angle. So it just needs an angle of some sort, and an angle is basically the direction that you're writing your press release. So it's the purpose for your press release, so to speak. So how do you write a press release? So first thing I talked about is you want to develop your angle first. So basically the angle is going to be the topic of your story. So before you start writing your press release, you need to come up with, okay, what is a subject that I'm going to write about concerning my niche? And since most of you, this will be the first time you're writing a press release, your first press release is typically going to be something about, announcing your website. Maybe it's announcing your free report. Like every time you set up a squeeze page and you give somebody something free, that could warrant a press release. Almost every time you make an informative blog post, that could be another press release for you. So when it's your first time, it's usually going to be announcing your website to the public. You're just going to be publicly announcing your website. And so your angle is going to be around your website and around your niche. So that's an example of your angle. So you want to create a newsworthy title for your press release that includes your keywords. And the reason I say kind of a newsworthy title, and it doesn't mean it needs to be newsworthy as far as the Wall Street Journal is going to pick it up or New York Times, but it needs to be newsworthy to the effect of, of something, to the effect of let's just say, I designed my new website. So a press release is not an article. So that's the point I'm trying to get across there. And so, your press release and article are going to be a little bit different, in how they're structured, and I hope you're going to see that here. So that's something to keep in mind. So your regular old article title may not work as well as, for a press release. So keep that in mind. So that's why you kind of want to have some sort of an angle to position it and spin it so that it can come off as kind of a news story. And some of these press release sites will actually delete your press release if they don't feel it's newsworthy. I've actually had that happen before. So it's, so then I learned real fast that you need to just create newsworthy titles for your releases. And when I say include your keywords, I'm going to give you guys some examples here in a bit of a good press release title, but you want to include your keywords, and if you can, include it the first part of your press release, but at least try to include it somewhere in your press release. So, if your press release is how to refinance a mortgage, that's your niche, so you could come up with your website, mortgagesecretsinside.com, whatever the domain name is, announces, how to refinance a mortgage, ebook or something like that. So you get your keyword in there. It's kind of slightly newsworthy because you're announcing the launch of a free ebook or your ebook, whatever it is. And, that gets you started in your title. The next thing is you want to write an introductory paragraph that lays out your press release's point. And so, that's going to be your first sentence. Your first paragraph will be 2 or 3 sentences made up of just you simply talking about what your press release is about. Why you're writing your press release, the purpose of it. Whatever your angle is, you're going to address that in this first paragraph. So whether the angle is I am, launching a new website, then go ahead and put that in there. So that would be like the angle of your press release. So and so, Paul Counts, or your business name, if you've turned your business into a corporation, is announcing the launch of their new website, www dot whatever, and then basically give like a feature of this website. This website's main objective is to help people learn how to do this, this, and this with this free report that they're giving away on their homepage. That kind of thing. Write 2 to 4 paragraphs for the body of the release as well. So the body of the release is very similar to the body of the article. It's just basically some information. And when I say put quotes in there, I mean, quote yourself. And I'm actually going to read a press release that I wrote here in a second. But basically, you want to quote yourself. So come up with some quotes that you as the owner of the website could be making related to your niche. Build up your credibility as well by putting your name in there. So, so it says John Smith, owner of www.thiscoolwebsite.com, and then, so maybe say a quote or find a statistic about your niche and quote that statistic or something. And and basically say, we're striving to be customer oriented with our great review website. Says John Smith, owner of coolwebsitereviews.com. John added, there's a big need in the golf niche to have great golf review ebook review websites. Just come up with some quotes for yourself. Use that to kind of excite people about going to your site. So maybe talk about your free report, because what's interesting with press releases that I found, and this is an important point I'm about to make, is that with press releases, they don't want you just to be advertising your business based. Yes, you are kind of advertising your business. That is kind of the purpose. Let me rephrase that. But they don't want you to be pitching throughout your press release, because that's not a good press release anyways. But in the quote part, I found that it's a great way that you can actually pitch what your ideas and feelings are, because a quote is different than like just the written part of the press release. The press release has got the core details, the who, what, why, and where. And those are important things to know. Who, what, why, and where. Kind of the main keys of journalism. And who, what, why, where, and I think I said why. Yeah, sorry. So basically, those would be the kind of the written part of it, or the text based, the article, almost the article style of it, so to speak, where you have the details, the detail area. And then the quote part, where you're quoting yourself, that's where you really sell people on why your site's the best, why you have a great review site, why you created your site, why you have a passion behind your business, or whatever it is. And encourage people to check out your site in there, and because that's perfectly okay. And I found right there, the press release sites have no issues with you when you're quoting, kind of the sales pitch part, so to speak, the call to action almost. So there's no issues there. And so definitely want to put quotes in there, because it'll build your credibility, give you a chance to maybe pitch a little bit more about your business. And not that you should just, tell people your site's the best around, but just tell people, different components you have that kind of set you apart from the competition, maybe, that makes your site better in a way, so don't just say my site's cool, but add some value in there about why your site's better, or why you did what you did with your site, and kind of use that in the quotes if you can. And I found quotes are a great way to kind of expand a press release, because sometimes the details are kind of small, and you want to try to have around 200, at least 200 and some words. 250 is the best way to go, and if you can get it above 300, you're going to be in really good shape. But above 200 for sure. You want to try to strive for at least 250 if you can. So sometimes if I'm short on words, I can come up with a good couple of quotes that I'm going to say about this website or whatever I'm writing about for my client, and you can really fill in some gaps right there. So that's how you go ahead and write your press release. And then you want to include at the end of it just a short closing paragraph. And in that short closing paragraph, that's where you just say, for further information, call your phone number if you want people to call you, or excuse me, don't put in your email, because then you'll get all sorts of spam deals. But check out my website. Now, I made the mistake once of silly me, but I submitted a press release online with my cell phone number, for my pet niche. And you guys are probably gonna all go run out there and find it. But anyways, this in the pet niche I was in, and I had all sorts of phone calls, coming in like just from customers and just different things, requests or just even just random calls and just stuff like basically stuff that my number shouldn't have been used for kind of thing, and that was a mistake I made. And so one of the best things you can do if you really want to have a phone number, make sure it's like your office line that you aren't going to always have on you kind of thing. So but in your closing paragraph, include your phone number, include your website link right in there. It just basically, it's not like you're saying check out the site for great information, because that sounds a little salesy, but just say for further information www. Because that's how most press releases end anyways. Basically think of your press releases as like a news story, and you're going to be just fine. If read the newspaper. If you don't read the newspaper, then go ahead and go online and look at like usatoday.com or something like that and see how they structure their news articles, and that's kind of how you should write and position your press releases. And it's also not a bad idea to check out those news sites, because you can see what kind of topics they're writing about, and you might be able to spin a lot of those topics for your niche. So keep that in mind as you go about writing your press release. So here I'm going to go ahead and show you guys real fast a press release that I wrote. Alright, so here on the screen here I've got a press release that I have written, and this press release is about Tulsa, Oklahoma chiropractors, because as you will recall, that's the little website that I'm promoting for this example, which this site still ranks on the first page, even though I have what's funny about it, and I don't recommend you do this, but I launched the site without any relevant content, but it's still on the first page for its keyword phrase, so it shows you how easy it is to rank for a lot of these local terms. And this site's like number 2 or something in Google with the site with no content on there. I just launched the site. I have a good domain. I have title tags placed correctly, and we did like a ping on it or something. But that site's still ranking on the first page. But this is a press release I wrote up about this website. I'm gonna actually add a few pages of content, because what I'm actually gonna do with this website, and this is a model you guys are actually gonna learn at the end of this course, but I'm going to actually take this website. Once it's got some rankings, I'm going to be contacting some local chiropractors in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and offer them, to buy the website for a certain price. And so we'll see how that goes. I'll report back to you, but that's basically the strategy there of what I'm doing this for as an example for you guys. But basically, to go back to the press release, this is a short press release that I wrote related to this business. I'm actually going to expand the font a little bit so you guys can read it if you want. This will also be available in the back end of the website, so you guys can actually take it, use it as a swipe file if you want to. Whatever you want to do, take it and submit it yourself with my URL in there. That's fine too, but it'll be there as a swipe file if you guys want it. So basically, Tulsa, Oklahoma chiropractors are hard at work adjusting the city of Tulsa. Notice I kind of used a play on words there, because chiropractors do adjusting, So, if you want to try to be kind of creative. I'm not the most creative marketing artsy kind of guy, but sometimes I get creative. So, but anyways, the website, TulsaOklahomaChiropractors.com, shares information and resources related to finding a good chiropractor for your next back or neck adjustment.